All right, what is going? What is happening? How's it doing today? My name is Chuck, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, we're jumping into my top 8 guns you guys should be using here in Warzone, and these are going to be statistically the most used guns in Warzone right now. I'm breaking this down from a website here to get the most accurate information on what's being used the most. So I took those top 8 weapons that are being used the most, and I'm going to be giving you guys the most meta loadouts you guys can possibly use. So before any farther, I want to give a massive shout out to Noti Gang. Y'all will be featured in a future vid. Make sure you guys drop a like, subscribe, the notifications turn on, comment down below Noti Gang, and of course, make sure to watch the video all the way through. That being said, let's jump into these setups. All right, first gun we take a look at here today is going to be the MP40. This is statistically the highest pick weapon out there. By the way, this is also the Snoop Dogg variant. So for any guys that are wondering, well, let's build this here real quick for you. So first thing, muzzle, of course, could be that recoil booster. We run this pretty much on all of our Vanguard SMGs. After that, in the barrel section, we run the VDD 189mm short barrel for a damage range and limb damage. This is kind of like the go-to meta barrel right now. We used to run the Krausnik, but to be honest, we don't. Right now, I'm talking about the 317. My bad, not the 221. But we used to run that, and now we just exclusively run the VDD 189mm short barrel. In the underbarrel section, we have thrown on the M1940 to enhance top. Got to be able to control that recoil. This gun's gonna bounce around a little bit, so the better we can kind of control that, you know, obviously the better. In the magazine section, we run the 7.62 Garanko 45 round mag. We always run the Garanko on this. There's no real reason to run anything else. It's not like anything's been found to be better statistically speaking, so we run this. And the ammunition side of things, you guys can either run hollow point and you can run lengthened. I personally have had good success with running hollow point and lengthened. So for me personally right now, I did actually use hollow point more recently and ended up working out pretty nicely for me. So I'm gonna run hollow point here on this build. Now in the rear grip section here, I switched out some from one of my previous builds. Instead of running like pine tar grip here to help out with that recoil control and stuff, I found it was pretty easy to control that recoil. So I switched out to leather grip here for ADS speed, aiming stability, and that has worked out absolutely beautifully, and I've had some great success with it. Now in the optics section, for this weapon in particular, I was trying to use the iron sights, but I was just really liking the slate reflector over the iron sights just because that tracer, it seems like with some of the weapons, if you use the iron sights on a tracer, sometimes it can be a little bit harder to see what you're actually shooting at just because there's so much on your screen. It's a little bit too much. So I've been running the slate reflector here, so you guys can run that, but if you feel like you can just, you know, get away with it, go run the Krausnik iron sights and you'll be good to go. You get an ADS benefit here from the iron sights versus the slate reflector. You get pretty much no benefit other than the fact that you can actually see. So I guess that's a pretty good benefit itself, but it's not like it's, you know, statistically changing. It doesn't alter anything. Now in the stock section, we're going to go throw on the Krausnik 33M folding. Sprint to fire speed, movement speed, of course, is a really good stock. In the perk section, we're actually going to go throw on brace here for initial firing recoil. This works out really well, and I definitely say to run brace. And then in perk 2, to bolster our movement speed, we run quick here for the increase in sprint speed. So this is my full build here for the MP40. Absolutely love this thing. It's a really top tier meta SMG right now. I was using it just the other day, dropped 30+ kills. Really solid, good gun. Now for our second gun here today, what's being chosen pretty much right behind that MP40, so this would be a really great combo to run, is pretty much the XM4. So XM4 MP40, you guys can run that together on a loadout and it'll pretty much be all meta'd out. So let's give you guys a build here for this thing. By the way, this is the Great Pacific, which with diamond camo on it. It's like the black and blue version. It's a tracer, for those of you guys that are wondering. I get a lot of questions about that stuff in the comments. Muzzle category, of course, agency. We will always run the agency. There's no reason to run anything else on this gun. Barrel section, we run the 13.5 task force. We always run the task force. Do not need to switch this one up. In the underbarrel section, we have the field agent grip here for horizontal and vertical recoil control, of course. This is just the best option out there. In the magazine section, is a little bit personal preference here. You guys can run the 45 round mag or the Stenag 60. It's just up to you. For me personally, I like running the Stenag 60 here just because, I mean, I just think it's overall a little bit better. So might as well go ahead and run this. I mean, just gives me more ammo capacity. I can deal with a little bit of that ADS penalty. It's not the end of the world. And for our last thing on this gun, we're going to, of course, run the Axle Arms 3 times. This is a sight that I love on these Cold War ARs. I never run anything else besides this, and maybe if I'm trying to make this into like an SMG of some sort, I'd switch up the build, but the only other thing I'd run is maybe a Microflex. If like I'm not running that, I'm running the iron sights. But for an actual AR, the Axle Arms 3 times is the way to go for sure. This is my full build here. Absolutely love this gun. Really solid, and it gets chosen for a reason because it's damn solid. Next up on our list of guns that get chosen very frequently, the AK47, the Cold War AK47, comes in at number 3 of the most popular weapons. So let's jump into this thing here. First muzzle category, of course, Grew Suppressor, you know what I'm saying? Always run that Grew on this thing, and of course, then you can change it out here, so maybe the diamond does cover it. I like how some of the weapon variants you can kind of figure out, mix and match some stuff to get diamond camo to go over some stuff. It's pretty cool. In the barrel section, we have the Spetsnaz RPK barrel. We always run the Spetsnaz RPK in this thing, especially if we're trying to make this an AR. I did make this into a hybrid AR SMG, just one of my previous videos. If you guys want to go see that, you'll be able to find it on the channel. I uploaded like less than a week ago, but this is really, really good as a hybrid AR and also as a long-range AR. So at that, in the underbarrel section, we're going to run the Spetsnaz grip here. Of course, horizontal and vertical, definitely need that on this thing because it's going to kick around quite a bit. If you do not have that, it still will kick a little bit even if you do. But you have to be able to control that. In the magazine section, though, we have that, of course, that Bakelite 60. The 60 works out really nicely, though you guys could definitely run 45 if you want to get, of course, you know, this cool variant here, which is the Cursed Angel, by the way. You guys want to be able to have this magazine on there, or if you just prefer to have the 60, kind of like myself, I mean, I'd much rather have the ammunition in the magazine here because I'm not too worried about mobility. Whereas if I was making this a hybrid, I definitely would choose the 45 just because at that point, I am concerned about the mobility. But that's that. And then, of course, the optics section. Axle arms 3 times. It's tried, true, tested, and we've been running this here for a long time for a good reason. There's really nothing else in here that's even better. I've seen people try it at some point to run the Sussat multi-zoom. I personally never liked that. I really don't think it's all that great. Just stick to the axle arms, call it a day. It's my full build here for the AK47. Cursed Angel, by the way, diamond camo on it. Absolutely beautiful variant, beautiful gun, really solid. All right, next up after the AK-47 is going to be the Cooper Carbine. This also happens to be the Snoop Dogg one that actually came with the bundle here. You can't really tell besides the fact that it says Snoop Dogg on it, so let's get into a build for this thing. Plus category, of course, we're going to run the MX silencer here. I normally would say maybe run recoil booster, but we're making this an actual AR. We're utilizing this as an AR, not like a hybrid or something like that. People used to run this as an SMG pretty frequently, but it's more or less kind of taking that AR role nowadays. So the MX silencer is the way to go. After that, in the barrel section, we just run the Cooper Custom here. There's no real reason to run anything else. This is just the best barrel out there to make it, of course, you know, controllable, and of course increases that fire rate, which is definitely a good thing. Never really seen a barrel increase your accuracy and your controllability and also the fire rate, so it's kind of like a one-off thing in Warzone. In the underbarrel section, we of course have that M1941 hand stop here at the very bottom. Last thing you unlock in this category, so it will take you a quick minute to get it, but it's definitely well worth. In the magazine section, we are going to stick with the 9mm 60 round drum. We've been running this here for quite a while just because, I mean, there's no reason to run any of these other things in here. They're just not as good. And the 60 round drum just works great if you're trying to make this into an AR, like what we're doing here, or if you're trying to make it as an SMG. You pretty much still run the same thing. It's kind of crazy. In the ammunition side of things, though, this is not up for debate, though. We're running lengthened here for bullet velocity increase. I would say to always run lengthened on a true AR just because, of course, it's your long-range weapon, so you're trying to make sure those bullets actually register fast. Lengthened's gonna be able to do that for you. In the rear grip side of things, though, we're gonna throw on the leather grip here for ADS speed and aiming stability. This is really solid when it comes down to just increasing your overall mobility, but without actually giving you any cons. We're not gonna try to lose accuracy by going something like maybe, I can't remember where it's at. Oh, the pine tar grip down here, actually you start losing ADS speed, but I can't remember. There's actually something near the fabric grip. My bad. That's what I was looking for. You actually lose straight up accuracy, which is never a good thing for your AR. So leather's the way to go. In the optics section, we run the G16 2.5x here. We always run this. I like to say that if you try to take people out outside that 2.5 to 3x range, they start getting too small to be able to see. You should probably reevaluate, go back, and maybe pick out a sniper or something like that to be able to take someone out, but or just find somebody a little bit closer nearby because there's a good chance that somebody is going to be closer nearby to you. In the stock section, though, there is a few different options in here, but for me, what I've had a good success with is the Cooper 45W here. This is really good accuracy and recoil during sustained fire, and of course, it helps you out when you're mounted and crouched and stuff like that. So this is a really solid stock. In the perk section, though, there's a couple of options in here, but what I found to be really good is tight grip here. This increases your overall, like pretty much the cluster of your bullets going to the same area, which is definitely really, really good with this weapon because this had a bit of a history of having bullets deviate and becoming a little bit inaccurate. So it really wasn't good to use for a while, but we just had to run tight grip on this thing here. And then perk 2, we have fully loaded just because there's nothing else besides fully loaded out there that's really that good in perk 2. So just run this and that's it. It's my full build here for the Snoop Dogg variant of the Cooper Carbine. It doesn't look anything like that variant nowadays, but that's just the beauty of variants when you start customizing them. You lose all the look of them. It's awesome. Next up in here is going to be an Owen gun build. So this gun here, I've been seeing some new builds out there. I haven't had the chance to test them. Some of you guys might try and true build that I've been using, but I will of course give you guys an updated one when I do happen to go through and test out all the different ones because people are trying to figure some new stuff out here in season 3, but I use this in season 3 and like this build I'm about to give you guys and it works out great. So don't really like fret about that, but you know, make sure to tune back in for a brand new one if you guys are concerned about that. Barrel section, of course, or not barrel, the muzzle, recoil booster as always. Barrel section, we have the Hawkinson 142mm rapid barrel, of course, fire rate and hip fire accuracy, really solid. Under barrel section, M1941 hand stop here, definitely a good option. This is pretty much the only thing I run. You could try to run the Mark Skeletal, but I mean, I feel like I need a little bit of recoil control, so I run the hand stop. Magazine section, the 7.62 Gorenko, we've been running this for a minute now, so we're going to continue to run this. Ammunition side of things, you guys can run hollow point or you can run lengthen. I mean, I've had good success with both, like I say previously with the MP40, but hollow point, lengthen, it doesn't really matter. I'll just run lengthen here for the sake of it. Your rear grip section here, we're gonna throw on leather grip here for ADS, speed, aiming, stability. I personally don't like running fabric on this thing just because I feel like I lose a little bit too much accuracy, and I'm not really trying to do that. So this is one of those guns where I feel like the leather grip works out perfectly fine. Optic section, I run the Night Arm Model 47 over the slate reflector just because I feel like I can see more with the Night Arm over the slate, so that's the reason I run that. Stock section, remove stock here, of course. Max Night Arm mobility here, what we can do with the stock, so that's always a good thing. And then for our perks, we now are going to run acrobatic here to increase our movement speed and sprinting move speed. That's a huge W. And then of course in perk 2, we're running quick here for that increase in sprint speed. This is pretty much my go-to meta build right here for the Owen gun. Definitely give this one a try, super good. And I'll give you guys an updated one here, of course, when I have the chance to test out some more Owen gun builds. Next up, we're gonna be taking a look at the HDR. So this is a gun I really wasn't thinking I was be putting in like a top 5 style video, but with the nerf of, you know, some of the different snipers like the Kar98K and the K-Swiss 31, a lot of people try to switch over to figure out, okay, what's the next best sniper? It's gonna be those one-shot kills in Warzone, and the HDR is up there. And of course, there's a weapon variant of it on Top Water Tower on Rebirth, which I absolutely hate that people pick that thing up. It's really annoying, but let's give you guys a build here for this thing. Muzzle category, of course, mono suppressor, sound suppression, and damage range. I mean, of course, damage range is a really good thing for a sniper rifle, so we have that on this. Barrel section, there's a couple of options in here, but we pretty much run with the 26.9 HDR Pro barrel. Damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. I mean, I don't really know how much you need recoil control considering it's a sniper rifle, but I guess that's always good when, you know, it doesn't bounce up, you know, a crazy amount when you shoot it, so that's always good. In the laser section, you guys could go on and throw, you know, attack laser on here if you really want to. It's a little bit personal preference, so but you could definitely run the attack laser, which is, it's never a bad option, to be honest with you guys. And of course, it gives you aiming stability, so run that. Then of course in the optic section, you guys can either leave this as like the base optic on this gun, or you could go for something like maybe the variable zoom scope. I see a lot of people that really like running the variable zoom. This is actually pretty solid, though I wouldn't necessarily recommend running like any of the thermal stuff, anything else like that. Pretty much just go and run like either like no scope and just run the regular optic on here, or go throw on like a variable zoom. It's just kind of up to you guys. But now we're gonna go into the stock section and we're gonna go through on the F-Tac Stalker Scout. It's gonna help increase our ADS speed here. It lessens that aiming stability a little bit, but with that attack laser we have on there, it pretty much will even out and you'll still come out on top anyways. And then lastly, we're gonna throw on a magazine on here, so you guys can throw on either the 7-round mag or the 9-round mag. Just, you know, what do you want? I mean, 7 rounds I think is perfectly fine on this thing. I mean, I don't really ever find there to be a reason for me to have 9. I think it just slows you down a little bit more so just throw on the 7. And this is my full build here for the HDR. Really solid gun, and it's definitely a go-to meta sniper rifle right now because it's getting picked up quite a bit. Okay, so next up we're gonna be taking a look at the STG. This gun is our number 7 most popular gun in Warzone right now, so let's give you guys a build for this. First thing, MX silencer, of course, we're gonna run this on our ARs. Barrel section, we have the VDD 760mm 05B barrel. We absolutely love this thing. There's no reason to switch off of it. It didn't get touched in terms of like, you know, a nerf, so I'll always run this thing. Under barrel section, we're gonna go throw on, of course, the M1941 hand stop, wherever that is. That's actually the second one, my bad. Recoil control and accuracy, I always run this on a lot of those Vanguard weapons. Magazine section, what's actually really cool is the 7.62 Gorenko 50-round mag, which is what we're running. It actually got a pretty big buff. You guys can be able to see that it used to say there was like a damage range, you know, con on here, but they kind of removed that, and so now there's no damage range con, and that's pretty awesome. So we're going to continue to run this here, as this is a really good magazine. Ammunition side of things, of course, you want to throw on lengthened here to increase your bullet velocity. Makes your bullets hit harder, faster, more or less. So just go ahead and run lengthened. In the rear grip section here, we're going to throw on leather grip here, ADS speed and aiming stability. Always a good option for your AR. Gives you no cons, can't go wrong there. Optic section, G16 2.5x. Always run the G16. No reason to run anything else. It just doesn't make sense. Stock section, we're going to go through on the VDD27 Precision for horizontal recoil control and aim down sight speed. This is a really, really good option here for this gun. I pretty much exclusively been running this. And now for our perks. First thing on here we're gonna go over on is Vital here for increased torso damage. I would like to point this out. Vital does not stack with those damage mags. If you're trying to kind of be a little bit cheeky with it and, you know, maybe throw in a damage mag for the STG and Vital, it's not going to stack. So just run Vital with that mag I'm talking to you about in specific, which is going to be the Gorenko. So run Vital. And then in perk 2, we're actually going to go through on fully loaded here once again, just because, like I said, there's nothing else better in perk 2 for a lot of these Vanguard weapons. So it's my full build here. Really, really solid gun. It's definitely a gun I'll be making a dedicated video on here very, very shortly, but super, super good. Last but not least, I'm gonna give you guys a build here for the Card 98, because even though this thing did receive a nerf, a lot of people are still running it. So let's give you guys the best build possible for this gun, and mine will have changed up a little bit just because of those nerfs. So let's jump into a muzzle category. Of course, mono suppressor. That's how we do it. It's just really, really good for these snipers. Barrel section, we're going to be using a barrel this time. We're going to go for that Singard Arms 27.6 because they did try to nerf the Card 98. We're trying to make this thing hit harder than it used to, because we used to be able to run this without a barrel, but I don't think that's the case anymore. So just go ahead and run the Singard Arms 27.6. Obviously in the laser section, we got one option here, and that's going to be the tack laser. So we're just going to go through on the tack laser, kind of call it a day. In the optic section, you definitely need to run an optic because this does not come with anything. So throw on the regular basic sniper scope, and that's going to be perfect for the Card 98. There's no real reason you guys should be adding on anything else. And for our last attachment, pretty much you guys can go with a variety of things in here. The stock, you guys could go for a stock here and go for the FTAC Sport Comb for aim down sight speed. Or if you really want to, you guys can go for something like maybe a sleight of hand and a perk, just so you can get those reloads off faster. But for most people out there, I feel like FTAC Sport Comb is going to be a better option. So this is going to be my full build here for the Card 98 after update. That's going to be it. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Just don't triple cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.